Hey, everybody.
We're back. Welcome back, or if you're here for the first time, welcome. This is where Joy and I have so much fun sprinkling little drops of wisdom on you all. So we're back for season two, and as we mentioned in our intro podcast, that we this season we're going to be focusing more on talking about our thoughts and feelings on some of the most popular nutrition plans that are kind of floating around the interwebs these days. And again, it's not to judge or look down at any one particular pattern, but just our thoughts on how or how not they might be useful in your day. So that's what we're planning to talk about this season. But for today, we kind of wanted to talk about a couple of particular concepts rather than a specific diet. So let me ask you, Joy, have you ever been told eat less and work out more?
Right, exactly.
It's just that simple, like eat
Yeah,
less calories and burn more
yeah,
calories. And that's the magic answer for weight loss, right?
right.
Okay. Meh.
Forget it.
No, forget about it. That is one of these concepts that just needs to go to nutrition graveyard because it is meaningless and counterproductive.
Look,
So
you taught me this calories in, calories out.
yes,
Oh,
Seco. When I was first learning nutrition and fitness a really long time ago, that was the thing. That was what we were all taught. Seco. It was our whole paradigm of nutrition and working out was Seco. Calories in versus calories out, and you can't argue with the laws of thermodynamics. And as long as you burn more than you eat, you're going to lose weight. The human body is not that simple. It is so much more complex than that simple statement that to believe that is to do yourself a disservice. And I think back on some of the clients I coached when I was first starting, and I coached them on this principle. And when you fail, and you will, you think you're doing something wrong. You think it's your own fault because the people that know better are telling you that it's your fault. You're just not tracking correctly, or you're not working out hard enough, or whatever. And I'm here to tell you, if you still believe that, please stop. Please do yourself a favor and just stop. And hopefully, we can shed some light on that today to help you understand why it is not productive. So,
what is a calorie? Can you just help our listeners sort of understand why that was ever a thing? What is it?
calorie is a thing.
Yeah.
Calorie is absolutely a thing. And a calorie is the unit of energy needed to raise 1 gram of water 1 degree Celsius. So, it's a measure of energy, how much, like in this instance, water, how much energy it takes to heat 1 gram of water at 1 degree Celsius. So, that being said, a calorie is a unit of energy. Okay, so the human body uses energy, but is that all that the human body needs to be strong and healthy? Is just heat?
No.
Absolutely not. The human body is so complex, it takes these amazingly complex things like foods and breaks them down into myriad. And not only the human body, but all those microbes that live in our gut is what really breaks it down into
Mhm.
so many different hormones and short chain fatty acids and amino acids. And yeah, it's not just heat. So, and the original calorie, when they first kind of made that measurement of the calorie, there were a couple of ways of measuring the calorie. The first way in the lab was called a bomb calorimeter, which is a closed system. So they took the food, put it in the bomb calorimeter, and figured out how many units of energy it took to heat the water. So the first problem for me there is the human body is not a closed system like the bomb calorimeter. So it's apples and oranges, people. What's measured in the bomb calorimeter is not the same as the human body because the human body is a vastly open system. So, problem number one. Second, problem number two, you take an apple, put it in the bomb calorimeter, it gives you the measurements of how many calories. Is every single apple going to be the same?
Right.
No.
No,
Or is even the apple going to be the same as a donut?
no.
No. So the measurement is just not at all accurate. So you read your labels or you get your calorie book and you say, okay, this food is going to be so and so calories. And then you eat it. And then whether or not there's so many factors in how many calories your body will absorb from that food. My body isn't going to absorb a food. We could even eat half of the same apple, you and I.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get the exact same number of calories that you're going to get.
That's what I was going to say. Every body treats it, takes it in differently, right? Manages.
Exactly. Exactly. So I can eat half an apple and get 70 calories, and you can eat half an apple and get 50 calories.
Yeah.
And honestly, at the end of the day, that 20 calories, it just doesn't make any sense to for that. So the other way that they've measured calories is called the Atwater system, where, and I'm not even sure, I don't remember where this was even, like who Atwater was and how he designed the system, but
Okay.
they assign calories based on the proportion of macronutrients. So whatever the proportion of carbs, fat, and protein in a certain food, so carbs and protein are supposedly 4 calories per gram, whereas fat is 9. So that's how they divide, that's how they assign calories to a certain food with the Atwater system. Again, really? And like, how do they really know the exact proportions of macronutrients in a food? And as we'll get to later, what really are macronutrients anyway? So this is why calories are just not, and there's just, so like what I was talking about earlier, how everybody's body works differently and how even our bodies work differently. So it's not a matter of you eat the food, it creates a certain number of energy units, and that's what it does. What happens, depending on the kind of food, it's all hormonal. So if you eat an apple, or let's say you eat, okay, we'll stick with apple. The makeup of the calories, it's, some sugars, some, carbohydrates, some, there's all sorts of different things in there. Protein there's pectins and different things. Depending on how your body needs to digest that, it's going to produce different hormones or different levels of, say, insulin, or which is we know is the fat storing hormone, or it will produce more of different hormones that tell your body how to use that calorie. So it's not just a matter of the calorie goes in and creates heat. It's the calorie goes in and how does the body react to that calorie? Which hormones are being produced in response to that calorie? So if you eat, a white bread with fluffernutter sandwich, that's basically pure sugar. So your body's going to take it, it's going to digest very quickly, and your body's going to produce a lot of insulin in response because it's like, oh no, what do I do with all this sugar? We're going to throw it here in these fat cells because we don't know what to do with it right now. Whereas if you eat, say, a piece of nice regeneratively farmed steak or hamburger or whatever, your body's gonna, it takes much more time to digest it. It doesn't need the insulin, and your stomach emptying will be slowed, and it's gonna have a completely different response to your body than the same number of calories as the apple, but completely different response in your body. So it's not, the calories that you're eating are not what's important. It's what you're eating. It's the food you're eating.
So, no pun intended, it's not apples to apples.
Good one, Joy. Good one. No, it is absolutely not. I don't even know if it's apples to oranges. I think it's more like apples to a nice steak, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. They're totally different. So, yeah.
Totally different. So your body just, and so it's not the calorie, it's much more about the hormones and the hormonal response to whatever the food is you're eating than the number of calories. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you sit on the couch and watch Netflix all day and you're eating Ben and Jerry's and you're getting the pizza delivery, and you're eating that 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, of course you're going to gain weight.
Yeah.
And if you're in a prison and they're never feeding you, of course you're going to lose weight. But there have been lots of studies done that people who have, say, a normal body weight and are like forced for whatever reason to starve, say they're in prison, yes, they gain the weight, but as soon as they're given ad lib food again, they get back to their normal healthy weight. And the converse is also true. People who are overweight or carrying excess weight for whatever starvation reasons get down to a healthy weight, as soon as they're given ad lib food again, they go right back to their original weight. And ask anybody who's lost weight, the chances of the rebound are very, very real. it's hard to keep the weight off, and that's one of the reasons why. Is our body has a set point according to whatever hormones we've kind of trained it to use. So it's not about the calories. Your weight loss is not about the calories.
And who wants to spend time counting calories, anyways?
Boring. I have better things to do with my day than boring. Yes, absolutely. I mean, even with all the fancy apps and everything that you have on your food, on your phone, it's like, no, I got better things to do than worry about how many calories I'm eating, particularly when it's meaningless. So, yeah.
Yeah. I have some friends that are in a, weight loss diet group. I won't name any names, but they talk about, oh, how many points does this have? How many points does that have? I don't know if they try to make it more fun and not have it be calories. Let's call it points. Popcorn doesn't have any points or something, so you can eat all the popcorn you want. But it doesn't really feel like it's talking about nutrition again. Like it's just sort of focusing on counting and measuring in a way that just doesn't add like any of that nutritional concept to the food. Like what are you eating versus how much of whatever are you eating? Feels like that should be the priority.
It's very true. And I think, and I'm going to say the name and you can edit it if it's not appropriate. But yeah, I remember Jillian Michaels, she's such a icon of fitness and nutrition. Okay. Anyway, she cited us the Twinkie study. I don't know if you've heard the
Oh,
Twinkie study.
you
Some
told me to
professor,
tell that. Yes, share this.
yes, some professor ate nothing but Twinkies for I forget how long he did. I think it was 30 days, but don't quote me on that. And lost weight. Surprise! But honestly, how healthy can you be eating nothing but Twinkies? And I can guarantee you, as soon as he stopped eating Twinkies, they never said this. I don't know if it's in the world anywhere, but I can guarantee you when he stopped eating the Twinkies and went back to his regular diet, he probably went right back to his original weight
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So it's the, and
And
that was an N of one. That was a study of one. He didn't even have like a cohort. It was just him. So it isn't that to me, that is not, and she's like holding it up as this proof that calories are the only thing that matters.
it
And
doesn't feel, yeah, again, that just bothers me. Like, what other long-term problems does he have now? I mean, for a month of eating Twinkies, probably not,
maybe.
but maybe, it's like poisoning your body for a month, and I don't like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Our bodies are such gifts. They are such gifts. We have been given this gift from the earth. Everything we are is from the earth. We've been given this gift to use for however long we have it, and then it goes back.
Mhm.
Let's honor that and give it what it needs to be its best. That's my feeling anyway. I don't always succeed. I'm human, but as much as possible, I try and do whatever I can do to support my body in what it's trying to do, which is to be healthy. We're all designed to be healthy and happy.
I do have a question. I think we've pretty much explained the calorie nonsense, but people that are listening are going to say, well, I've always been told that I should have 2,000 calories a day. Like, why is that even a number? It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't tell you anything. Like, I don't know how many calories are in a Twinkie, but like, why do you think they came up with that number? Or is it even worth talking about?
Oh, I'm sure in labs they have like machines that can measure your resting metabolic rate, like measuring your breath and how many calories you're putting out, the energy you're putting out in your breath. They have machines that can supposedly accurately measure your resting metabolic rate, which is, for those who aren't aware, is if you just laid in your bed all day and just existed without moving,
Yeah.
that's your resting metabolic rate, however many calories you would burn doing that. And then anything extra, walking around, eating, working out, all these things add more
Okay.
calories. So they're saying, so if you had, say, a resting metabolic rate of 1,000 calories, and then you walked around and exercised and did enough things, that would be another 1,000 calories. So I'm sure in some labs everywhere they've measured that the average human burns 2,000 calories. And it is really basically an arbitrary number, if you ask me, because everybody's different. It depends on Again, it depends on your microbiome. How much of the, like if you eat something and you don't have the microbes to digest it, it's useless to your body, first of all. And you're taller than I am, but I might have more muscle mass than you do. But I mean, and all these different things are going to make us burn calories differently.
Yeah.
I might be more active than you. I might be more sedentary. I don't know. So saying 2,000 calories for everybody is it's just it's not appropriate. And this whole thing about your metabolism is about so much more than just burning calories. Your metabolism is how everything, and a really interesting book about metabolism, and people think that you can speed up your metabolism, or if you don't eat you're going to slow your metabolism. There's a book called Burn by, I believe his name is Herman Stronzer, and he did a lot of research on metabolism, and there's like basically four periods of your life where you're going to have a different metabolism. Other than that, it's always the same.
Okay.
It's a really good book. It's kind of a fascinating book. But
Sounds
anyway,
really interesting because I sort of have observed that with people. Like, there's no way that we're not different that way because I watch how people eat or behave or move or don't move, and they're still skinny or they're fat, whatever it is.
exactly, exactly. Yes, we're all different, and there's no way to say that the human being burns 2,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
And not even as an average.
Okay.
Even as an average, I don't think that's really helpful to
Yeah.
say that, because let's not focus on calories. Let's focus on nourishing our body. And what does that look like? What does that
Quality.
look like for you?
Right.
So, and
So,
in that light, let's move on to another one. And this one, I think I have more of a problem with this one than most people do. But let's talk about macros, shall we?
let's.
Okay. All right, Joy. What are your thoughts on macros?
So
What are the macros first? Can you tell us what the macros,
there,
in that case anybody's been living in a cave and doesn't know what a macronutrient is?
I, there are, they're everywhere. So there are basically three primary macronutrients: carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So they're um, in learning from you, Dorothy, you realize they're not it's hard to pigeonhole and categorize things, right? When you have food in nature, like if you have eggs, what are those? Proteins or fat? Or if you have an avocado, um, carb or fat. So um, how do you, I mean, how do you even categorize those kinds of things? Where do you begin?
Exactly. And that's kind of my thing is when you look in nature, which is where we're supposed to get our food, what in nature is just one macronutrient? Can you think of one?
No. So yeah, like what I listed, like how do you, I don't know, what are beans? Beans are,
Carbs or protein?
yeah,
Yeah, like what is it? So pretty much every food that you can think of,
real food
a
even.
real food that you're going to go out and find in nature, has more than one macronutrient. So yeah, where did we come up with this thing about proportioning out our macronutrients and making sure like that we have the just the right percentages of which macro? Again, counting is boring. Am I wrong?
Right.
I'm No, I'm not going to be weighing out my eggs and make, I mean, and you have to separate your eggs before you eat them to make sure you're only getting this much fat and this much protein. I mean,
Yeah.
like, what? And so the two, well, actually, all three of the macronutrients are being talked about widely in the world. So everybody talks about don't eat your carbs or be careful about carbs, 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 carbs. Well, broccoli is a carb. Um,
But so are
Spinach is a
potato chips.
carb.
But so are potato chips and
So is a donut.
a donut.
So is blueberries.
Yeah.
So I really, really wish, and some of these, particularly these health influencers, still talk about the macronutrients. I'm like, stop, because a carb is not a carb is not a carb. The same as a calorie is different from every other calorie. Carbs run the gamut of their nutritional value. And not even one is necessarily better than the other. Like broccoli is just as good for you as blueberries, just they have very different micronutrient profiles.
Mhm.
The problem comes when you're talking ultra processed carbohydrates. Now
Yes.
that's completely different. Now, if you want to talk to me about ultra processed food,
Yeah.
I'll talk to you all day about that.
We'll
But
do a
don't
show on
talk to
that.
me about carbs because that term alone is meaningless.
Yeah.
It's meaningless.
I think you're right. It is used to point out don't eat a donut, don't eat potato chips, don't eat those kind of things in excess. Those are carbs that are bad for you. Um, so I think it's not really specific enough when you think about the macros in healthy foods too. There can be carbs.
Exactly. But if they're packaged with all the other nutrients that they're supposed to be packaged with,
Mhm.
like fruit, say your apple, our famous apple of note, um, has a lot of fructose in it. And you go to the wellness people and they say, oh, fructose is so bad for you, and it's the reason we're all so fat. Well, sure, if you take high fructose corn syrup and add it to all your ultra processed foods, yeah, that fructose is really, really bad for you. And that's what's going to cause your fatty liver disease. Like even kids now are getting fatty liver disease, which is
Hmm.
it's frightening. So yeah, that is good, that fructose. But when you take the apple that's packaged with that beautiful living water that's in the apple, that's packaged with the fiber and the pectin and all these other like red colors and all these things that are just when it's all in that natural package, it's almost like nature's perfect food.
Yeah.
So that carb is not the same as like an apple fritter. You
Right.
know, it has like, yeah, it has apple in it, but it's also got flour and sugar and all these other things that has the fructose. That's the fructose that's going to give you the fatty liver disease, not the apple fructose.
Yeah.
So just to talk about carbs without differentiating processed food with nature's food, it again, it takes that term carbohydrate and makes it meaningless.
Yeah.
Because what exactly are you talking about? Are you talking about a donut or are you talking about an apple?
Yeah.
Both are basically considered carbs, but they're not the same.
Not the same at all.
Not the same. Fat is a little bit less problematic, but it's a problem because we were told for so many years that fat's a problem.
The fat
You know,
makes
we went through that whole fat-free phase when I was first starting with my aerobics, with my, the whole, I did the whole head thing. Anyway, be that as it may, the whole fat-free industry was rampant at that time. And I was telling my clients, don't eat your fat, and all my aerobic students, don't eat your fat. And, you know, back then but anyway, so yeah, so now we still residually, we're still afraid of fat.
Yeah.
And there are still people who talk about saturated fat was going to cause heart disease and all these things. And more research is coming out that that's something that I knew anyway. That's just not true. It's the saturated, your body produces saturated fat in response to inflammation in your arteries and veins. So you need saturated fat. Your brain needs saturated fat. It's your your own personal anti-inflammatory. Eating saturated fat does not raise, unless it's from like say conventionally raised beef, and that's not because it's saturated fat, it's because it's inflammatory.
Mm.
Because inflammatory meat from these CAFOs, these confined animal feeding operations, is toxic and you eat it and it creates inflammation. In response, your body creates the saturated fat to protect itself. So the fat is not the enemy. It's the type of fat, just like anything else we eat, it's the type of fat and where it's coming from. So fat is like there's not as much confusion other than whether or not it's healthy or not healthy. And if you get down to my basic premises, just eat real food,
Yeah.
you're going to have a problem.
Just come back to the basics because it can get overwhelming to think, how do I eat? I love this kind of food. How do I change? And if you start trying to follow a diet and count calories and measure macros, you're gonna not do it.
Exactly. And that's another thing where these ultra processed foods come in and people, again, in the whole calories in, calories out argument and all that kind of thing, people that are struggling with their weight and they're eating the standard American diet, there are two reasons that is not their fault. First of all, these foods are designed to be addicting.
You're right.
That pure carbohydrate, it hijacks your brain and makes you require more. So not only, it's just like any like cocaine or any of these other addictive
Yep.
substances, it's going to hijack your brain and require you eat more. Not only that, but you're also not getting the nutrients that your body needs. So you're eating all these refined carbs, more and more food, more and more food, more and more calories.
And you're hungry because you're not satisfied. You're not,
But right, exactly. You're not getting nutrients that you need to grow and be healthy and support all your organs. So your body's saying, feed me more because I need these specific nutrients, but you're not, so you're eating more, but you're not giving it still the nutrients. So between the addictive quality and the lack of nutrients, it's not your fault if you can't stop eating the wrong foods.
yeah.
So absolutely it's not your fault. I don't personally think GLP-1s are the answer, but that's me. I would get someone like me or someone to help you take those steps needed to switch out the unhealthy for healthy foods. But so yeah, so it's that's much more of a problem. So the last one, and again for me, this one, just protein. You see protein everywhere and how important protein is, and get your protein and eat, particularly menopausal women, it's so important to eat your protein. So I have to ask, Joy, do you know like what happens when you eat protein?
Protein is can turn to energy.
So you mean you don't just eat the protein and your body slaps it on your bicep and grows a muscle?
Oh, no.
Oh, so I'm confused then. What does eating protein do? If I'm not eating protein and it's slapping muscle on me, what's the point?
You're going to tell us.
Well, because we don't need to eat so much protein. Protein is not what your body is looking for. A lot of people say, well, it's very satiating.
Hmm.
Have you ever eaten a really ginormous salad?
Hmm.
How full do you feel
Yeah,
after that?
very full.
What really causes that feeling of satiety is stretching your stomach. That activates the vagus nerve, which puts out the hormones again that create the satiety.
Okay.
Fill your stomach with vegetables is going to create, if you're looking for satiety, that's going to create the satiety. People are like, well, you need the protein to build muscle. Do you know what it is that builds muscle that we eat? Amino acids.
Okay.
What your body needs, what protein is made up of, and what your muscles are made up of are amino acids. There are 26, I think, amino acids, I want to say, and 9 or 11 that are essential, meaning that our body doesn't produce them, so we need to eat them. Yeah, okay. Protein, animal sources of protein are what's called complete proteins, is they have all of the missing amino acids. So yeah, protein is good in that respect because it is giving you all your amino acids in one food. But your body doesn't care about that. It just needs the basic building blocks. It needs those amino acids. You know what also has all your amino acids? Like 3 or 4 different kinds of sprouts all eaten at once. Has all the amino acids your body needs. Your body doesn't digest protein as efficiently as it does many other foods like vegetables. So a lot of it is going to kind of sit in the stomach, and as it moves through your small intestine and your large intestine, it's going to start to ferment and thereby producing all the farts that make everybody laugh, and particularly little boys. Or little girls, not gonna lie, my granddaughters are big into the fart jokes these days. They wrote a whole book about their family farting. Anyway, so eating all this protein in the form of like a steak
Sure.
or meat is not necessarily what your body is looking for. So when people are all about it's so important to get your protein and eat your 30 grams of protein with your first meal of the day, and all these recommendations are, I think personally, are just not necessary. And to be worried about eating so much protein to start your day, I don't think it's conducive to just a really healthy nutrition plan.
So I've heard of people like going on the carnivore diet, and we can have an episode about that, or and like getting rid of their candida and just cleaning up their guts or their, by doing that. So I think there's time and place for maybe increasing that, but it's interesting, like I think this was in your book also, as if you look at the animal kingdom, other animals, they hunt and have their meat like once a week or something. They go through long fasting periods and long periods of not having meat and just living on grazing on veggies and grasses and stuff, and then they'll hunt again and get another piece of meat. So you're right, maybe we don't need a piece of meat every day. Um, but I feel like back to what we keep saying too, every body is different. So you kind of have to tune into what your body needs. I know I had a short period of not really eating a lot of meat, and I just started to really crave it. Like my body really needed it. So I feel like if you kind of tune into those, sometimes those cravings, often those cravings are really trying to tell you something. Rather than getting stuck on, wait, how much did I have today? When did I last eat this or that?
Boring.
Brain boring. So, um, thank you. I'm learning every time I talk to you. And I, I just like to enjoy food. I don't like to, I like to enjoy real food.
Yes, yes, yeah. I do think we have an entire episode on carnivore planned, so we won't go into too much detail here because we will do another episode on that. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. It's coming up later this season. But just think about the fact that humans are not carnivores. And you look at some other species like, say, dogs. Dogs are also omnivores. But look at their teeth and their eyes and their ears. They are so much more developed to eat more meat than us, and they're not even they're carnivores. They're omnivores. The only true obligate carnivore are the feline species. They are carnivores, true carnivores. So we will go into further detail on that later this season, and it is something that I like to talk about too.
Okay, great. Can't
But
wait.
yeah, because meat is not just about protein. For me, the meat is more about some of the micronutrients. See, I'm
Mhm.
much more about micronutrients than macronutrients. And there's a lot of vitamins, the B vitamins, some of the B12, and some of these other vitamins that are present in the meat that are not present in vegetable form. So that is why I truly believe that omnivore is the one true faith in terms of nutrition. But again, everybody's different about how much or how little of each of the macronutrients that they need. But basically, for me, let's just start by eating real food. Let's not worry too much about numbers and filling your percentages. Let's just eat real food. So that's kind of my philosophy. So thank you for joining us today. I hope you learned something. This is something that is really, really important to me, which is why I kind of wanted to do season 2 about food because like I've said, food is not the only thing we need to be healthy, but it really is a foundational component for overall wellness. So I hope you enjoy this season where we break down our thoughts on some of the nutrition plans out there and that maybe you feel a little bit better about not worrying about counting. I hope that if you were a counter that maybe you'll be able to ease up a little bit on that and just start to enjoy your food and don't even worry about making sweeping changes just yet. That's not going to happen. It's very unsustainable to try and make big sweeping changes all at once. Some people can do it, most can't.
Yeah.
So just for now, enjoy not counting your food
Hey,
and just
good,
eat it.
good
Just eat it
idea.
and enjoy every bite. Try not to eat in your car. Sit down and eat your food and enjoy every bite. And hopefully this will help you do that without worrying about your calories. And we will get into further on in the season about different ways that you can eat to help your body do what it does best, which is heal. Um, so are you a counter or are you a macro counter or what are your thoughts on nutrition? And we would love to hear your thoughts. Joy, what do you say?
I say this was another great episode, Dorothy. Appreciate your knowledge and your insight, and it's just great to be able to share this with more people out in our listening audience. And stay tuned. We have a few more great ideas up our sleeves for this season, and share it with your friends, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Give us a thumbs up if you like us. And if you want to hear anything in particular, leave a note in the comments and we will do our best to address your questions or concerns. So thanks again for joining us. Thank you, Joy, for your support, and we will see you next time.